I'm Larry Fedorik, and this is I Was 8, my weekly podcast about growing up in a small prairie town. Next week, the big city beckons. But now, let's see what hidden talents I had developed in my 8 long years on the planet. We continue with Season 2 of I Was 8.
Chapter 8, Piano.
When I was 8, it was decided that I should take piano lessons. I don't recall being involved in that decision. I do remember being informed of the decision. Echoing in my mind are the words of our nosy neighbor, Hilda Schimmelpennig, talking to my mother. When they learn piano, you give them the gift of music for life. I guess she never heard of radio or TV or recorded music, like the only way I can access music was to learn how to play an instrument. I didn't exhibit any musical talent. You know, Larry really likes his music. Well, yeah, I also like bread, but I don't want to be a baker. But, okay, piano lessons. Thanks for the gift. I wanted a Tonka truck, but all right. Also, piano lessons would give me something to do and help keep me out of trouble. Even at 8, I took offense to that. I pretty much kept to myself. I didn't get into a lot of trouble. Why was I being piano punished? I knew what my parents meant, though. Trouble, with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. Obscure reference to the Music Man there, but our town did have a pool hall that was a source of consternation to parents of young children. Entrance to the pool hall was restricted to those 14 and over. Seems like such a random number. Unless you were at least 14, you couldn't even walk in the front door to buy a bag of chips. So the owner, Old Man Perry, used to let us kids in the back door off the alley. We'd hang in the back with our Pepsis, play the pinball machine, and sometimes even shoot a game of pool. Eventually, when enough parents got annoyed and called the cops, they would show up, and I imagine it was quite comical to them to watch us kids disperse out the back. When the cops showed, you ran into the alley and took a circuitous route home, and even under interrogation denied all knowledge of ever being in the pool hall, or even that you knew a pool hall existed. Mother, father, what is this pool hall you speak of? We always told the story of Arnold Premack, who during one of these police raids ran out the back right behind us. Arnold, however, forgot to drop his pool cue and was holding it across his body as he vamoosed. So when he hit the doorway, the pool cue not only stopped him dead in his tracks, but snapped him right back into the pool hall like a slingshot. Ass over tea kettle, as Dad would say. Now, the police weren't looking to get any kids into trouble. Otherwise, they would have stationed an officer at the back. They weren't idiots. They were just there to throw a little scare into us. But that night, Arnold Premack got a ride home in the police car. The RCMP would also give Old Man Perry a stern lecture. He would always claim he didn't know we weren't 14. I mean, we were 8. Come on. We'd lay low for a few weeks, then start filtering back in through the alley. And the same scenario would play out eventually, except for Arnold Premack. He never did that again. All right, piano lessons. The gift of music keeps on giving. Keeps me out of the pool hall. It was Mom and I off to sign me up and meet the town piano teacher, Miss Gautier. I'd heard about Miss Gautier, was a little apprehensive. Dad said she was a midget and a hunchback. Mom said we didn't use such words, that Miss Gautier did have a slight hump and also had her growth stunted as a child, both as a result of polio. Polio? She fell off her horse playing polio? No, it's a disease. Well, what if I catch it from her? No, you've been inoculated. Knocked on who later? No, you had a needle. You won't get polio. My friend Jerry took piano lessons and told me about Miss Gautier. I was about 4 feet tall, a couple inches taller than Jerry. Jerry said he was a couple inches taller than Miss Gautier, even though Miss Gautier was like 50 years old. Mom? Mom's advice in hindsight was pretty solid. People are different, but we shouldn't treat them any differently just because of that. Well, immediately that's a problem. I'm a kid. She's an adult. Kids don't treat adults. Adults treat kids. They treat us strictly or kindly or dismissively. Sometimes they might even treat us to an ice cream. Adults treat kids. Kids treat other kids. Kids don't treat adults. How does a kid treat an adult? Respectably? All right, I guess we can try that one. Miss Gautier was everything Jerry said and more. And less. More or less. Wow, was I ever taller than her? My mother was like a giant in the room. Yet Miss Gautier was not some girl in my grade at school. She was obviously an adult woman. Adult clothes and shoes, brooches, necklace, makeup, lipstick, big hair piled high, reeking of cheap hairspray, cat's eye eyeglasses on a chain, wrinkles and spots on her hands, red fingernails, grown-up teeth. Mom had told me not to stare, but where else was I supposed to look? She may have been small, but everywhere I looked, there she was. They signed me up. Piano lessons for half an hour, twice a week, one of those an extra half hour to learn piano theory. Each lesson would be followed by an hour practice in Miss Gautier's practice room, and since we didn't own a piano, 2 other sessions per week on different days, 1 hour, practice only, at Miss Gautier's. In winter, I'm getting home after dark. That would cramp the pool hall time for sure. I asked Mom why I never saw Miss Gautier around town. It was a small town. You see people, church, at the store, walking down the street. Miss Gautier lived at the Kovacs house. She paid monthly room and board, explained to me as a room and the meals, which she took with the family. So it's like Toddy Kovacs has a live-in little sister, a big sister. Well, it was confusing. The Kovacses converted the large enclosed front porch of their house into 2 rooms and a small hallway in between. One room was Miss Gautier's teaching room, and the other the practice room. She had her living quarters upstairs, she had her meals, she had her lessons. She never went anywhere else. As far as the piano rooms, they were always too cold in the winter and too hot in the summer. When she was giving a lesson in one room, she could always keep an ear on the practice room and would yell across the hall, "No, Larry, D, watch your 8ths. B flat, please." I remember at the time I had this riddle book and there was a joke in it. Why is a piano player like a tightrope walker? Both have to C sharp or B flat. I told it to Miss Gautier. Nothing. It's funny how quickly I became accustomed to Miss Gautier as an adult, like one of my school teachers, 3.5 feet tall, but an adult who, for a few hours a week, was the boss of me. I don't recall particularly enjoying the piano lessons. They were difficult, and Miss Gautier had a ruler, and she smacked your fingers with it when you hit a wrong note. Not hard, didn't hurt my hands, but it hurt my feelings. I may not have been an artist, but I was sensitive. So like with all things I didn't like, I found something within the experience to enjoy instead. For piano lessons, the big memory is toasted tomato sandwiches. As a kid, I loved them. Seems normal, right? But here's the thing. I didn't like them warm and buttery just out of the toaster. I liked them hours later. I requested them for school lunches, against the advice of my mother. The toasted tomato sandwich was best, in my opinion, after it had sat in my lunch pail at school for 4 hours. On piano day, a second toasted tomato sandwich was requested as a snack for after school during piano. Thus, a toasted tomato sandwich that sat wrapped in wax paper for some 8 hours before consumption. Those were even tastier. To this day, if I want a toasted tomato sandwich, I have to make it hours ahead of time. But it's a strange one, isn't it? What do you remember most about piano lessons? Toasted tomato sandwiches? When Miss Gautier heard that I'd stopped practicing, she'd yell across the hall, "Why aren't you playing, Larry?" "Just having my sandwich, Miss Gautier." "All right, well, hurry and get back to work." "Yes, Miss Gautier." Eventually, I got pretty good, as in decent. Enough so that Miss Gautier talked my parents, i.e. Mom, into buying a piano. I remember Dad and his friends trying to wedge this elephant-sized upright through our front entrance and into our living room. Now, for 2 days a week, I didn't have to go to the Kovacs' house. I could come home and practice after school. As a matter of fact, I could practice every day, and twice on weekends. The fun never stops. When company came over, sometimes I had to tinkle the ivories for their amusement. They would chant, "Play us a song, you're the piano boy." "Hey, play that one I like," Mom would say. "When the moon comes over the mountain, I'll be dreaming."
Every beam brings a dream, dear of you.
Yeah, they would sit at the bar and put bread in my jar. Well, not true. They never threw a dime my way, the cheap sons of... Hilda Schimmelpenning thought that one day I could be another Liberace. Yeah, I guess I could be that. Although I'd seen Liberace on TV, and I always thought that Roy Rogers had much nicer sequins. I even learned how to play duets. My friend Jerry and I played one at a regional recital in the city. We scored 85, and we didn't win, but we got first honorable mention. It's always nice to be mentioned. My mom saved all my music books, and I was looking through them recently. I've got sheet music and theory books full of gold and silver stars that Miss Gautier had pasted onto them depending on my performance. How I loved those gold stars. Silver was okay, like a pass, But when there was a gold star, well, you can bet I was showing that around town. "Hey, it's me, Larry, with the gold star. See, next Liberace, I remember one time as an adult seeing sheets of those star stickers on sale at the stationery store and thinking, all that time, I could have just bought my own gold stars. I know that would have been cheating, but hey, gold stars. You gotta give yourself a gold star every once in a while, right? I played for at least a couple of years, and I really don't know what happened. I think I just stopped. More like tapered off, I guess. Practice 5 days a week, then 3, 1, none. Miss Gautier called, said you didn't show up at piano lessons. "Oh, was that today? I forgot. Oh." I think my parents finally realized that it had just become a waste of money. The piano just became another piece of furniture we had to dust. We kept stuff on it. The piano bench opened up, and I started keeping small toys and marbles in there. I do remember the day it left. My dad and his friends trying to haul the behemoth out of the house. Dad cursing Miss Gautier under his breath. I'm sure he was thinking how much less work and cheaper it would have been to just get me a couple of pool cues. The gift of music? How about the gift of billiards? The piano went to some other house in town, some other 8-year-old's parents who got suckered into believing that this would keep their kid out of trouble. Going through the old music books, though, convinced me that there had to be some piano knowledge still there, buried somewhere deep inside me. Just last year, I got an electronic keyboard, full-size piano keys, true piano sound. I set it up, took some YouTube lessons. Maybe I could just, learn 1 or 2 songs, remember some old chords, whatever. I mean, look, I remember so many things in vivid detail about being 8. Surely piano would be one of them. It wasn't. I sucked at it. I gave it a shot. Now the keyboard is something else I have to dust. On a positive note, as a result, recently, I have had a lot of toasted tomato sandwiches.
I Was 8 is a weekly series written, produced, and voiced by Larry Fedoruk. A new episode every Thursday. Share your stories with Larry, or if you like, share Larry's stories with a friend. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Larry Fedoruk, that's Fedoruk, can be reached at larryfedoruk37@gmail.com.